It happened slowly, like the changing of the seasons. So gradual that I didn't notice until I was standing in the middle of winter, wondering where the warmth had gone. First, it was little things. Alex canceling plans at the last minute. The unread messages, the calls that went straight to voicemail. The way their eyes no longer lit up when they saw me. And then there was Liam. Always there, always steady. But suddenly, something in his voice changed when he spoke about Alex. Hesitation. A weight I didn't understand. I told myself I was imagining it. That I was overthinking. That love, real love, didn't just disappear. But love doesn't vanish. Shift. It finds new places to root itself. The truth came crashing down one evening when I saw them together. Alex and Liam, standing too close, speaking in hushed voices. It wasn't the words that shattered me. It was the look. The one I thought was mine. The one I had cherished for so long. I never believed in fairy tales, but I believed in love. Now, I wasn't sure if I believed in anything at all. I told myself I was imagining things. That I was being paranoid. That love, real love, couldn't betray me like this. But the signs were everywhere. The way Alex would glance at their phone and smile before quickly tucking it away. The way Liam avoided my eyes when I asked about his weekend. The way the air shifted whenever the three of us were in the same room, thick with something unspoken. Then, one evening, the whispers stopped being whispers. I wasn't supposed to be home that early. Alex thought I was working late. Liam had no reason to think I'd be around. But fate, or maybe cruel irony, had other plans. I stepped through the front door and heard them before I saw them. Low voices. Too familiar, too intimate. My pulse pounded in my ears as I walked toward the sound, each step heavier than the last. And then there they were. Liam's hand on Alex's arm. Alex leaning in just a little too close. A look passing between them, one I knew all too well because it used to belong to me. They didn't see me at first. But when they did, the room plunged into a suffocating silence. Alex's mouth opened, but no words came out. Liam looked away. And me. I just stood there, frozen, as my world crumbled around me. Because at that moment I knew. The love I had believed in, the love I had cherished, it was never truly mine to keep. For a moment the world stood still. I wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding, that there was some innocent explanation for what I was seeing. But there was no denying the way Alex clung to Liam, the way Liam's hand rested on Alex's waist as if it had always belonged there. They noticed me too late. By the time Alex turned, eyes wide with shock, the damage had already been done. Liam scrambled back, guilt flickering across his face, but he didn't say a word. He didn't have to. The silence screamed louder than any excuse ever could. My breath hitched. The coffee spread across the floor in a dark stain, seeping into the cracks like the betrayal sinking into my bones. Wait, Alex started, their voice trembling. This isn't what it looks like. A bitter laugh escaped my lips before I could stop it. Really? Because it looks exactly like what it is. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, to ask how long this had been happening behind my back. But what good would it do? The truth was staring me in the face. Liam, my best friend. Alex, the love of my life. The two people I trusted most, standing before me as my heart shattered into pieces at their feet. I took a step back, then another, my body moving before my mind could catch up. If I stayed, I would break. And I had already lost too much. So I turned around and walked out the door, leaving behind the wreckage of everything I once believed in. But as I stepped into the cold evening air, one thought echoed in my mind, relentless and unforgiving. I had lost them both, but maybe, just maybe, I had finally found myself. I took a step back, shaking my head as a hollow laugh escaped my lips. Explain. My voice came out quieter than I expected, but there was no mistaking the edge in it. Explain what, Liam? That you've been sneaking around with the person I love behind my back. That every moment I spent believing in us was a joke. Alex took a hesitant step forward, their face pale. It just happened. A sharp pain shot through my chest, something between rage and heartbreak. It just happened. I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. "You don't trip and fall into betrayal, Alex." The room felt suffocating, every second stretching into eternity. The air between us was thick with words left unsaid, with guilt and regret that did nothing to undo the damage. Liam looked at me, his expression pained. "I never meant to hurt you." I turned to him then, something inside me snapping. "Then what did you mean to do, Liam? Did you think I'd never find out? That I wouldn't notice the stolen glances, the whispered conversations, the way you both started acting like I was some outsider in my own relationship?" Neither of them spoke. Because there was nothing left to say. I swallowed the lump in my throat, forcing back the tears threatening to spill. Crying in front of them would give them too much power over my pain, and I refused to let them have that. With one last glance at the people I had once considered my entire world, I turned toward the door. "I hope it was worth it," I murmured before stepping out into the cold. The door shut behind me with a finality that echoed through my soul. And just like that, the life I had built, the love I had trusted, was gone. But as I walked away, something unexpected stirred inside me. Spark. Because if they had taken everything from me, I had nothing left to lose. And maybe that meant it was time to start over. Not as the person they had betrayed, but as someone they would one day regret losing. The cold air hit me as I stepped outside, but it was nothing compared to the numbness spreading through my chest. My hands trembled, not from the chill, but from the weight of everything I had just lost. I had always believed that when love ended, it would be loud, full of shouting, broken glass, and dramatic goodbyes. But this was quiet. A slow, suffocating kind of pain that settled deep in my bones. I kept walking, each step taking me further from the people I had trusted most. My phone buzzed in my pocket, but I didn't need to look to know who it was. Liam. Alex. Maybe both. I didn't care. They had made their choice. And now I was making mine. I didn't go home that night. Couldn't. The walls of my apartment held too many memories, too many ghosts of laughter and love that now felt like a cruel joke. Instead, I wandered the city streets, letting the neon lights and distant hum of life swallow me whole. I should have been devastated. And I was. But beneath the heartbreak, something else simmered. A quiet, unfamiliar anger. I had given them everything. My loyalty, my trust, my love. And they had thrown it away as if it meant nothing. Well, if I meant nothing to them, then maybe it was time I started meaning everything to myself. The thought settled in my mind like a seed. Small but powerful. I didn't know where I was going yet. But for the first time in a long time, I knew one thing for sure. I was done looking back. And maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something new. I barely recognized myself. The version of me that laughed easily, that believed in love, that trusted so deeply. That person was gone. In their place was someone hollow. Someone who couldn't sleep without replaying every moment, searching for the signs I had missed. I went through the motions of life, but nothing felt real. The coffee I used to love tasted bitter. My favorite songs felt like noise. The world kept moving around me, and yet I was stuck in place, trapped in the wreckage of my past. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to hate them. But the worst part of me still loved Alex. Part of me still missed Liam. And that realization shattered me all over again. One night, after yet another sleepless evening spent scrolling through old messages I should have deleted, I finally snapped. I grabbed my phone, my fingers hovering over Liam's contact. My mind screamed at me not to do it, but my heart was desperate. Desperate for closure, for an answer, for anything that might dull the ache. But before I could press call, a thought hit me. What would I even say? There was no magic sentence that would make them feel my pain. No perfect words that would make them regret their choices. I had spent so much time mourning what I lost that I forgot to ask myself a more important question. Why was I still giving them so much power over me? That was the night something shifted. The grief was still there, but now it was joined by something else. Determination. I wasn't going to be the person they broke. I wasn't going to let their betrayal define me. I was going to rebuild. And this time I wouldn't need them to do it. I wasn't the same person I had been before the betrayal, But maybe that was a good thing. Maybe heartbreak wasn't just about losing, it was about becoming. I started doing things I had always put off. I signed up for a photography class, something I had talked about for years but never had the time or the courage to try. I traveled to a new city, wandering unfamiliar streets with nothing but my thoughts and the quiet thrill of freedom. I let myself laugh again, really laugh, with people who saw me, who valued me. There were still moments of weakness, nights when the memories crept in, when I caught myself reaching for my phone, wondering if Alex or Liam ever thought about me. But those moments became fewer. And when they came, they no longer consumed me. One evening, as I sat in a cozy little cafe, sipping a drink and watching the world pass by, I realized something. I wasn't just surviving. I was living. I had been so afraid that their betrayal would define me, that I would never be whole again. But the truth was, I was more whole now than I had ever been. Because for the first time in a long time, my happiness wasn't dependent on anyone else. I didn't need an apology from Alex. I didn't need an explanation from Liam. I had already found everything I needed in myself. And that was the best revenge of all. It wasn't an easy choice. Choosing yourself never is. It meant facing the pain head-on instead of running from it. It meant accepting that some chapters had to end, no matter how much I had once loved the story. But with every day that passed, I felt lighter, stronger. I stopped checking their social media, stopped wondering if they missed me, stopped waiting for the closure I knew would never come. Because closure wasn't something they could give me, it was something I had to create for myself. So I did. I wrote down everything I wanted to say to them, all the anger, the heartbreak, the betrayal, and then I tore the pages up and let them go. I stood in front of the mirror and reminded myself that I was more than their mistakes, more than their lies, more than the love I had lost. I started setting boundaries, learning to say no without guilt, to walk away from anything that made me feel small. I surrounded myself with people who lifted me up instead of tearing me down. People who saw my worth, even when I had forgotten it myself. And one day, without even realizing it, I woke up and the pain wasn't the first thing I felt anymore. There was something else in its place. Because I had finally learned that love, real love, should never make you beg to be chosen. And I would never again settle for anything less. I had spent too much time questioning myself, picking apart every moment, searching for answers that wouldn't change a thing. But the truth was simple. Love should never require you to sacrifice your dignity. And I had done nothing wrong except love the wrong people. So, instead of dwelling on the past, I focused on the present. On the life I was rebuilding, one piece at a time. I went out more, not to escape my thoughts but to embrace new experiences. I found comfort in early morning walks, in books I had meant to read, in the warmth of the sun on my skin. I laughed more, not because I was trying to prove I had moved on but because I actually felt happy. One day I even ran into Liam. It was unexpected. A chance encounter on a quiet street, where our eyes met, and for the first time I didn't feel anger or sadness. Just indifference. He opened his mouth as if to say something, maybe to apologize, maybe to explain, but I didn't wait to hear it. I simply smiled, nodded, and walked away. 'Cause I owed him nothing. And as I turned the corner, a weight I didn't even realize I was still carrying lifted from my shoulders. I was free. Free from the pain, the betrayal, the endless what-ifs. Free to move forward, to love again when I was ready. But most importantly, free to live for myself. And that was the greatest victory of all. Because I had something they never did. Loyalty, honesty, and a heart capable of real love. They had traded something rare for something fleeting, and that was a choice they would have to live with. But me had grown. I had walked through fire and emerged stronger. I had learned to love myself in ways I had once begged others to. I no longer searched for validation in the eyes of people who could never see my worth. Became my own home, my own safe place. And one day when love found me again, because I knew it would, I would welcome it, not because I needed it to feel whole, but because I had already made myself whole. So I didn't just move on. I rose. And that was something they could never take from me.